for as long as I could remember, my uncles always used to play my grandparents' piano in her living room. And they was always singing melodies and writing their own songs since I was a kid, bro. So like just that alone, having the people in the house, my auntie always listening to Sade, and my grandparents and great grandparents on the west side always listening to oldies and shit every Sunday. You know what I mean? I was always around like a music influenced family. You know what I mean? So that came. I really didn't start trying to like come up with raps and shit till I heard Nas's CD, Stillmatic. I heard that, and then I went back and got his whole discography. You know what I mean? From his first release to all of his releases, and I think at that time, I think it was like God's Son or Hip Hop Is Dead. One of those. I think it was one of those CDs at that time. So, I started like listening to these lyrics and shit, and I'm like, man, these dudes really represent something. They got a story to tell. You know what I mean? Growing up listening to Pac, Big. My pop's always riding around. My dad is an OG from his hood. And he was real big on like Pac and always going to concerts and shit. You know what I mean? Going to fights and you know, he don't have no floor seats, but you can see Pac. Like my dad was a Pac aficionado and a fan. You know what I mean? So like just hearing his stories and then just seeing how like, you know, everybody got something from his music. You know what I mean? Positively, it just made me start thinking like, damn, I wonder how they do this. You know what I mean? So my pops, he ended up going to jail, went to the feds, and I used to always just sit and like just write like poems and shit. You know what I mean? I'm what, 12 years old, 12 going on 13 years old. My pops is in trouble with shit. I start high school at 14 or 13, going into 14, and I just started writing like poems and shit, bro. Like writing, reciting them. And poems turned into like battle raps. You know what I mean? Me and a group of dudes would just sit around each other. You'll write some shit and recite it. You know what I mean? And whoever had like the hardest verse that you wrote, like you had bars. You know what I mean? So I like that's how it all really started. Like the magic in it. You know what I mean? Coming up with different ideas for different raps and shit, and then freestyling, battling. Like that's where it all came from. You know what I mean? And a lot of that influence came from the East Coast. Like all of my homies that I, you know, used to kick it with, like back in the days, like high school days and shit, we all used to bump East Coast mixtapes. You know, the Lots, Jadakiss, Styles P, you know what I mean? Even to the Pharoah Monches, even going underground, like, you know, Immortal Technique, Sabat, you know, just different shit, bro. The first doll that I ever messed with was, I want to say FL Studio. And then I went to Reasons, and then it went from Reasons to, what was it? Logic. And then rewiring, I used to rewire the Reasons into Logic, because it all started with beats, bro. Like, I was like, damn, I can't get no beats. I can't buy no beats. Let me learn how to make them. You know what I mean? So like I started messing around with beats. I used to take the beats that I would make where we used to recite our raps, and now we freestyling the beats that we making for each other. You know what I mean? So like I was just around like a little musical circle, and the first doll was Pretty Loose to Reasons to Logic, but I know Cubase, and now what I'm on, I still run Logic. I track vocals in Logic, do a lot of mixing in Logic. What's this other program I use? It's what program is this? What is it? I don't use this currently. On 32 Lives. What's that? What's the program that all the EDM producers use? Yeah, Ableton. So I do a lot of I get like a lot of effects and stuff from Ableton. I love the effects in Ableton. I love Pro Tools warmth though in tracking the vocals, like just regular vocals. I love Pro Tools DAW for that. But Logic is just like it's my go-to, man. I'm so savvy with like the quick keys and doing a lot of like parallel compressions and side chaining and shit. Like I love Logic, bro. I love the Waves bundle pack. I'm not trying to like endorse none of these guys or or give them any promo, but I love Waves. I love Universal Audio. I gotta have my UAD. You know what I mean? And then a MIDI controller is cool. I don't really produce no more. I do like co-producing.